There's an inquiry that I've written for Year 1. I think it's called Holding Counters. My idea was to have a large amount of counters for children to have to count. So it's just trying to get a large quantity for them to work out what's the best way to count, and that counting by ones is probably inefficient and that there are other ways to do that. The way I've written the inquiry was for the children to reach into a container of counters and take out put their two hands together and pull out counters. Grade 1s can hold an amazing amount of counters in two hands that I hadn't realised. So one is enough. I really only want them to have about 30 or 35 or so, and most of the time they get about 70 or 80, and most classrooms don't have enough counters to do that with the whole class. So one handful. The idea is they put them on the floor in front of them and find out how many they've got. So they start counting, and so you can observe the children that have got counting by ones, the ones who get lost and need to count again. Some of them were doing skip counting, so they're counting in 2s or 5s. Very few counted in 10s. So I had a bag of 10 frames just photocopied on paper, and as the children were doing the counting, I just walked around and gave them a 10 frame and said, would this help you to keep track of how many you've counted? And even the children who weren't really sure what they would use it for, the 10 frame was exactly the right size to put the counters into the 10 boxes. So and then they of course would fill their 10 frame, and I would just walk around surreptitiously and say, well, would you like another one? And I'd hand them another 10 frame. So some of the children with the two-handed count ended up with 7 and 8 10 frames, and when I was at the end asking them, how many did you get, they were going, and we were able to notice them go, oh, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 1, 2, 3, 4, 54. So grade 1s were doing effectively place value because I'd handed out the 10 frame material to bring them up to counting in 10s. And the teacher was quite amazed with the numbers, and some of the children were counting well beyond what she thought they could. To finish the lesson, we ended up counting around and just kept counting around the group and we ended up counting up to 1,000 with the children working with the 10s and 1s. So all from an inquiry where the kids were just supposed to count a small number of counters, we ended up counting much further and got place value involved as well. So it was good fun.